This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing. It is Friday night prime time here on Racesport TV and on the iRacing Esports Network. It is round 10 of the iRacing Grand Touring Cup as we say hello and welcome to Brands Hatch Circuit in Kent, the United Kingdom, just a stone's throw away from the M25, the world's slowest car park. It's Will Vincent here along with Conor Maddock as we are almost set to go racing here today on the Brands Hatch Indy layout. This is a track that has hosted IndyCar races on a couple of different occasions in years previous. The track temperature today, it is hot, 41 degrees Celsius, that's 105 degrees Fahrenheit, but also we've got high wind speeds because, Connery, it's not going to be a hot day in the UK unless you've got the high winds to go with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we had a period of very warm weather over the past couple of weeks, although in the last couple of days it has actually turned more like typical British summer, being overcast and pretty windy directly outside my window. But yeah, well, it's another week for the Grand Touring Cup. Brands Hatch Indy 6 corners are on the cards here today, each and every lap. 25 minutes of racing, cars gridding up on the starting grid for you right now. And well, there's one name who has made quite a big mistake on their qualifying laps. That would be Stefan Overgaard. Remember, his name always at the top of the finishing results there in your Ford Mustang fields. He starts basically mid-pack in that Ford.
Yep, we just circled that one for you using the good old-fashioned Racesport TV pen as we cycle yourself through your grid here in terms of this event. The drivers are about to set themselves out on a quick pace lap here. And of course, for more information about iRacing, you can find them on Twitter at iRacing and on Facebook. Oh, wait a minute, maybe not. As there's a look at your Volkswagen field there. Up on your screen, 9 drivers there for them here today. Yeah, we are going to make a joke about the Facebook situation, but we're going to keep it short because we don't want our stream taken down, do we, Connery?
No, we don't. Although our videos in, I mean, especially when it comes to the old iRacing World Championship Grand Prix series, so many of those VODs got flagged because we use camera angles that are very similar to the real F1. So, you know, that's just fingers crossed we don't get any for this one, but that's I think the less said about the Facebook situation, the better.
Yeah, it is. We've got cars then on track. They are on the pace lap. They are behind the command of the iRacing Porsche safety car. Porsche is going to be a big thing over the next month here on Racesport TV, but not today. Pace car is going to come on towards pit road. We are ready to go racing then. 25 minutes around Brands Hatch Indy. The lights are out on the pace car. The green flag is waving, and your Ford Mustang field go 4 wide almost immediately then as they drop themselves down in towards turn number 1, and it's going to be a case of how are they going to make it as they come into that hairpin for the first time. Behind, you're going to see a VW field. They're just working themselves now down into Druids on lap number 1. It's the Team Chimera car out in front of Simon Trendell involved in that one, but we've also got your Solstices not that far behind. You made a really interesting point here as we see one Jetta going very wide and very slowly with slow down penalty, Connery, that your Solstices are not not that much further slower here today than your Volkswagen field.
Yeah, very, very close affair. You can just see them in amongst each other, just jostling for position. That's actually Jake Fisher in the Ford Mustang that got himself a slowdown penalty, and he pushes even further wide coming through Clark Curve, so it's going to be him parking it in the gravel, in fact. I don't think he'll be taking any further part in this race. We'll take the tow back to pit lane, but an update on the rest of this race as it stands right now. Try a challenge for P number 1 in your VW Jetta field. Simon Trandell under attack from Gresham Wagner, then down the inside at Druids, but can Wagner complete this move? He'll have to wait maybe until the exit of Graham Hill Bend, turn 3, stuck on the outside here, gives you a little bit of luxury in terms of the runoff here in iRacing, and now Wagner on the way down towards turn 4. Trandell still with that inside line, and they're almost going to come together off the corner, but Wagner's still fighting, and he does have the position.
Yeah, they do. As we have a look there at a battle for your overall race leader, going to come past start-finish line in your Ford Mustang field, but behind you got yourself Wagner versus Trandell. We talked about that battle for the race lead in your Volkswagen Jetta field, and Trandell looking to the outsides to go through turn number 1. Paddock Hill Bend then down, and Paddock Hill Bend as well. Of course, this track just a week ago on the longer layout here, Connery, was hosting the final round of the inaugural W Series event. And I remember David Coulthard was saying that anyone who's ever raced at Brands Hatch will just tell you about the camber change in towards Paddock Hill Bend.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible, and of course all that with the laser scan track is all modeled here as well, so I mean, it's a little bit of a different feeling there in the sim rather than it is in real life, but it's still the camber issues, how the track drops away from you does affect how these drivers will tackle this racetrack. But heading ourselves on towards lap number 4 now. This Jetta field seems to be where it's all at this moment in time. Wagner, very good lap last time around, able to pull out a decent gap of a P2, actually forces the issue of through on one of the Fords there. That is Stutzman, that's not quite on the pace of the rest of the Ford Mustangs, and he's dropping back in amongst the front runners of your VW Jettas, and now he's made a gap for the car of Christian Novak to be able to challenge Trandell now.
Yeah, and they were on board then from the rear of Mike Stutzman in the number 21 car. We got a car turned around as well. That's the number 18 machine there, Connery, who's done himself a major incident. He's now dropping well down the field. That is the number 18 car. We can see as we go to the RaceWhat TV replay, and that was an issue, I believe, on the exit of Druid.
Race leader.
Yeah, here's the replay coming up.
Yeah, just Wagner just really just showing him the bumper there, trying to make his way through. You saw how aggressive he was with the lap traffic just a moment ago. Well, not really lap traffic, just slower traffic, if I'm being completely honest. And now Wagner, at least once we return to the live picture, still trying to fight with Ford Mustang. So inside on that one through Druids he goes, and now his advantages have been all eaten up because he couldn't get through fast enough.
Yep, so we'll go back to our live pictures there, and there is Wagner in the number 5 car. And this is one thing that you were talking quite heavily about, Connor, before we came on air. The gaps between the car classes here, because it is a sub 1 minute lap for everyone here today. The Ford Mustang field, they're doing lap times in the 51-second range. For the VW Jetta field, they're doing lap times in the 54-second lap range. But the Pontiac Solstice field, they're doing lap times from 55s down to about 58s. As Wagner actually under pressure there by Simon Trandell.
Yeah, Trandell getting closer and closer after losing the race lead just a little bit earlier on, trying to keep himself in contention as they head through that turn 2 hairpin. But down towards Graham Hill Bend, doesn't look like anything's going to really change in terms of this one. It's going to be all on Trandell to try and find exactly where Wagner is weak and bring it at least side by side between the two of them. But having a little bit of a look at the rest of your classes here, we have a good battle for P2 in your Solstices going on right now. That's Brian Molitor versus Albert Molinero with the 14 and the number 9 cars in that field. So podium battle in your Solstice field. There's also a podium battle in your Ford Mustangs as well, because that's Eben and Overgaard very close to P1.
It is. So we're gonna go over what's going on. That's the number 12 car, right?
No, Eben, number 2, for the overall race lead. He just got completely shunted by Overguard coming up through Graham Hill Bends. They will remain in the exact same order as before that, but that was a big punt there for Eben to have to deal with.
That's a no punterino sort of moment there. Hi, Jimmy B. How's it going? On board is Stefan Overgaard there on the Race Spot TV replay. There's a better angle. And yeah, that's a big punterino. And you can see the drifting there by Clifford Eben in the number 2 car. And, well, they're both lucky to get away with that one.
Yeah, both very lucky indeed, and I can't help but feel Overguard actually just got out of the throttle after that happened to actually avoid being able to take advantage over that bit of contact. So good sportsmanship, I have to argue there for Overguard. It does result though in him actually falling behind by about 1.8 seconds here, so he has all that time to make up still, but plenty of time to do it. 18 minutes left remaining in this race. And positions being swapped left, right, and center. Battle for P3 in your Mustangs, and that's Raymond Beta Jr. Heading himself towards that grass on the inside of turn 5 and 6. Try and get back onto the racing circuit in a pretty safe fashion here. Mustang, stay to the right. There we go. He's back on circuit without any drama.
Yeah, let's get a replay of that one. We saw side-by-side battling going on, by the way, in terms of your VW field. But here's the replay of Raymond Bader then, Jr. into that final corner, back end, just kicking out then on that Ford Mustang into the grass. And yep, British tracks, they still have some grass and some gravel, so it's not like Circuit of the Americas where everything becomes a big parking lot. But the lap traffic now, this early on, we're only 8 minutes into this event, but lap traffic is a thing already. Your top 2 drivers in your Solstice field then have already been passed, but we've now got a battle for P2 in your Solstice field. As a consequence of that one, here's the number 14 car looking down to the inside, then to the outside into Druid's corner.
Yeah, that's Molitor hanging around the outside, perhaps a little bit too much as he goes 4 tires into the grass, but still continues on the challenge in towards turn 3, slots himself ahead. Molyneux looked for the cutback, but wasn't available to him, so then up into P2.
Yep, so that's Molitor then up into second place on track. It's a lot of action going on. I want to go back, though, to your race leader. It's Clifford Eben. He's got now a 1.8 second advantage over Stefan Overgaard. 2 seconds now is the advantage over Stefan Overgaard. But there's more traffic to play. This is like the mini 25 minutes Road Atlanta Star race that we often talk about in endurance racing, Connie. From here on in, they're not going to get a fully clean lap in.
No, absolutely not. Everyone's just spread all across the circuit from all 3 classes, so it's basically exactly how you said it. Well, you're never going to get sort of clear air or qualifying style lap in. It's always going to be someone in the way or someone trying to come through on you. So it's a little bit of a different type of racing here today than what we're used to. But I was going to say that was a battle, but it was just a Mustang and a Jetta just having a little bit of a altercation. Simon Trendell for P2 and your Jetta is just getting roadblocked by both the Ford Mustang and the Solstice. So 2 for the price of 1, but none of these all for position.
Yep, no combos involved in there because no one really changed hands in terms of actual positions on track. Your Solstice field is the one that suffered the most because of the short track length, because of the fact that the gaps have really started to spread out unless you are battling for second and third place in field. This is Brian Molitor in the number 14 car and Albert Morellino in the number 9 machine as they head into Druid's corner once again. And the Solstice are going to be the most affected here because of the speed differential. The Solstice can probably, go toe-to-toe in the corners if they need to. They're going to be slow for the apex, but the acceleration is what's really going to hurt them. As a consequence of that, they're always going to be offline.
Yeah, in the Solstices, it's just a case of you put your foot down and you feel like nothing happens. From my experience with driving that car, it just takes forever to get up to speed. And, it's a well-known, it's an old car on the iRacing service. Everyone knows its tendencies, and just, when it comes to these long straights, you can just see that exemplified with the Solstices being as slow as they are. Well,
Yeah, we had a question on social media. What license do they have? This is actually a D class and above. So this is a single split race here as well today. So the lowest iRacing we have, 632. That was Jake Fisher, who's unfortunately retired from the event. We have got 2 D-class drivers in the event here today, 1 C-class driver, a total of 5 B-class drivers. The rest are all A-classes. The highest I-rated driver, that is actually Clifford Eben in the number 2 car. He's actually got a higher I rating than Stefan Overgaard, which is a bit of a... We don't often see that in this series, do we? Oh, and I've just realised that Connery Maddock has unfortunately left the building, so you're stuck with me then on Racespot TV. So we've got Justin Ragnar here. He's going side by side, and this is one of the issues here today, that we have got a situation where some of the faster VW Jettas are actually faster than some of the slower Ford Mustangs here today. To give you an example of comparable lap times, for example, we can get 52-second lap times where your VW Jetta fields at the rear of the field. They're only about 0.2 of a second faster than your fastest drivers in the Ford Mustang field. As we're on board, we're aggressing Ragnar right now. We're going to go back a little bit and show you the battle. Actually, there is no battle going on. We've actually got a very quiet field in terms of actual track position outside of this battle for P number 2 on track between Brian Molitor and Albert Marino, and they are going at it as they again head themselves out of Paddock Hill Bend, down in towards Druid, into that long sweeping right-hander right now. But this field has separated itself out in part because of the fact that you don't have much space to work on this track, Connery.
Yeah, not a lot of space at all, and it's a topic that you did bring up just a little bit earlier with how this is a very quote-unquote old-style track with the grass right up against where the track limits are. So there's basically, apart from maybe the exit of Turn 3 Graham Hill Bend, you know, track limits are very, very well defined here, and you get punished instantly even if you go 2 tires into the grass here. So in my opinion, that's how a racetrack should be. You should be punished for going over those white lines that usually denotes the the racing surface. But track designers seem to disagree with me and a lot of people on that.
Well, and also certain Formula 1 drivers in a 24-hour race. Hi, Max Verstappen, how's it going? It's not often I get to take the mickey out of, legitimately take the mickey out of a Formula 1 driver, but of course, the 24 hours of Spa, Max Verstappen became infamous because of his off-track incident in the time that he had. We're having a look then. One also good thing about this track is, actually, Connery, that if we need to, with the exception of behind the trees there, we can actually show the entire racetrack on just one camera. That's how short it is. I think we might have lost...
Yeah,
Connery is there. He's got... To let everyone know, by the way, Connery seems to have the same sort of thing as, like, foreign correspondents working for the BBC, where the delay between me stopping talking and him starting talking isn't because he's ignoring me, it's because of the fact that it's so long.
Yeah, absolutely. And, well, this is due to the fact that I have moved into a new place and haven't exactly got the broadbands all sorted out yet. So for me, and you can probably hear how it's going, but we'll continue to soldier on and try and get this race complete with 10 minutes remaining left in this one, Will. And exactly as you said, everyone's spreading out, everyone being a little bit more careful, at least, than we had at the start of the race.
Yeah, indeed. As we're having a look then, on board with the number 9 machine again, Albert Moreno, but he's fallen back now to about 0.7 of a second behind Brian Molitor. However, Molitor had to take the wide line there into Paddock Hill Bend. That that cost him about 3 tenths per second. The number 9 car even had himself a little bit offline in towards Druid because of the number 4 machine and so Trent Dale going past him. And this is that whole thing that lap traffic is a big factor. I'm going to bring in, for some strange reason, special guest Randy Cheneth. Congratulations, Randy, you broke Facebook.
Yeah, I'll have to take responsibility for that. So I will bow and rest in peace, potentially the entire page, depending on what happens.
But you've raced a race at a short track in endurance races like this. And again, I know you've never raced at this track and this car and this circumstance, but you've run at Road Atlanta in the prototypes versus GT3s, etc., when you are never able to get a clean lap in. How hard is it to actually then adapt when every single lap in these slower classes you're having to go offline?
It's busy. It's you have to be able to move around. You have to know how to position yourself. Basically, you have to be able to dictate, say, you know what, that faster car behind me, we're not going to get the inside line, and I'm basically just going to block it. You have to be obvious as what your moves are going to be, and if you're the faster car, you have to, as well, you have to be aggressive, and you have to make it clear that if you're going to go for a move, you're going to go for it, and then you have to go for it. I've seen a lot of cases, not necessarily in this race, but for faster classes dealing with slower traffic, they'll tend to sort of like, I kind of want to show the nose, but I don't really want to commit, and all it does is they just tend to trip over themselves. I haven't noticed as many issues here, but I'm sure this is a very frustrating race to run, especially I think as well with the Jettas, because they're consistently hitting Solstices, and then they also have Mustangs, some of which are slower than those Volkswagens, holding them up as well. That's probably the most triggering class to be in at the moment.
And you've been in circumstances before, as you say, where you've had to deal with this. And we talk about the fact that this is a D-Class Plus series. So this is essentially the first multi-class series that drivers will race in after they get out of the rookie series. As, by the way, Adam Love is battling and got himself past Johnny Bell, battle for P number 6 in your Volkswagen Jetta field. In terms of what this series does for developing multi-class racing, I'd have to say that this is the ultimate test. If you can manage this type of race, you can actually start to... Oh, we've got a car turned around. That is going to be the number 18 car of Yale Abero in the number 18 car. But when they do get it right, Randy, this is actually their first time really that I have to deal with these sorts.
Yeah, you're right, and it's a good sort of development of talent, I think, for drivers coming up, getting used to the multi-class situations. I will say the one category I wish we have so many of these endurance series on iRacing now, and for the most part, they're all kind of samey. There's been the Endurance GT3 division, there's been the Endurance prototype, the Endurance Le Mans Championship, as that have kind of come through. I've always wanted sort of a feeder series endurance championship for these guys. And for these cars, specifically the Mustang and the MX-5s. Now, I know there's been a number of leagues over the years. Think back to the Continental Endurance Sports Car Championship that he used to broadcast on Glacier TV. That's going on 10 years ago, which is weird to say. But some of those championships, I'd love to see in an official format, just to get some different cars in the mix and some slower cars in the mix for new drivers to come in and be able to develop there rather than throwing them directly into GTE cars and having them sling around LMP2s and LMP1s all the time.
You talk about Glacier TV. I'm actually working with a former Glacier TV employee for an event.
Is it Yarno?
It's not Yarno, it's not Yoni, it's Marius Gonnenbeck.
I remember Marius.
Yes, and I'm working on it. We can't announce it just yet, but it will be great when we finally can. We're hopefully going to get something about that in the next week or so. But
if there's a Facebook page for it, keep me off it.
I will do, yeah, definitely. We're on board, by the way. Robert Lundgren right now in the number 16 car. He's been a kind of stalwart on this series this season, as we've got himself Adam Hedgecock just ahead of him, and it's about a third of a second now, Conway, between the two of them as they head down in towards Paddock Hill Bend.
Yeah, they get disposed of that P2 battle in the Solstices as well that they just came through on before they hit the start-finish line, the Molitor-Molinero battle. And, well, Molitor had a big look towards the inside of Druids and then decides to of it. Instead takes the wider line on the entry to turn 2. And Molitor looking again to be quite threatening here, at least for that second step on the podium. A big error, though, coming through Graham Hill Bend means it does drop back a good couple tenths of a second, but this P2 battle in Solstice has been a thing since the drop of the green flag, and it doesn't look like they're going to split anytime soon.
Yeah, one thing also, Randy, we do need to do is pay our little Fs and respect, because this, of course, is going to be the last season of the Grand Touring Cup for the time being on the iRacing series. I'm going to actually cut away from that for a moment because Stefan Overgaard is looking to the outside in towards Paddock Hill Bend, and he goes wide in Paddock Hill Bend over Clifford Eben and loses half a second as a consequence. But this is going to be the last series for the time being, the last season that this series is going to participate in.
Yeah, a little bit disappointing, but at the same time, I don't think it's the most surprising thing in the world. All these cars, tremendously outdated. The Jetta, of course, I mean, yeah, that was relevant nearly 10 years ago when this was sort of a real-life series with the Jettas that actually worked with iRacing. I think it was like the first series we had that really, in real life, worked with iRacing well. Go back as well to, of course, the Mustangs. That comes from the old Mustang Challenge. That only existed for a few years. Hasn't been a thing really in a long time. And those cars are used at, I believe it's the Miller Racing School in Utah. Or basically, it's the Ford Racing School out in Utah at Miller Motorsports Park. And, of course, the Pontiacs. Pontiac hasn't existed in going on nearly 15 years as well. So everything in this category completely obsolete, completely outdated. So it's not surprised to see them get moved down to some of the lower categories, and maybe some modern stuff eventually come through. We of course have the TCR coming, which is going to be a nice replacement for the Jetta and the Kia that we have on the sim. The nice, really first proper touring car we've had in a long time, and hopefully someday we see GT4. And Will's gone.
Okay.
Yeah, almost the entire 25 minutes of this race they've been battling. Molitor very wide. He's done that a couple of times now, and each and every time he simply gets punished for it. He's not able to then build a run through turn 3 for a potential move in towards 4. But now he'll go for the move in towards 4 anyway. Becomes the outside line for turn 5 then. Big wide line for Molitor looking for the apex. Completely misjudged though. Gets shoved out and onto the grass once again. Seems like Molitor prefers to be on the grass more than he prefers to be on the racing surface.
Oh, yeah. Out a second. And he's out. If on a top.
Yeah, that is the important thing. Of course, don't forget that we have the battle for the overall race lead as well. And, well, depending on how traffic affects this one, this might be a thing before the end of the race. I think this is actually the white flag lap here for Eben and Overgaard. So,
yeah.
Get away then.
Something happened. We're not quite sure, but there is Clifford Eben, by the way, and he is on the white flag lap. He's got 10 seconds remaining, so it'll be checkered flag for him any moment now. He's going to head himself towards the start-finish line. The play clock ticks itself down to 0, and Clifford Eben in the number 2 car will claim the overall victory then here today in that number 2 Ford Mustang. Clifford Eben is your winner. Stefan Overgaard will come home in 2nd place in class, and Hugo then will come home 3rd place in class in that number 13 car. Now let's have a look to see where Gresham Wagner is. He has claimed victory in terms of your VW Jetta field, so he has won that class out. What about the number 6 car? There is Gorg Maszinski in the number 6 Pontiac Solstice. He wins in class there, Connery.
Yep, he does win in class, and well, it's absolutely fantastic for a driver that we're used to seeing just himself inside these top 5s, inside these top 3s, and now he has come away with the race win at Brands Hatch Indy. Good battle between Molinaro and Molitor as well for those final 2 steps on the podium in your Solstice field. But I can't help but feel if we had 1 lap more, Will, we would have seen a bit of a side-by-side between Eben and Overgaard for your overall race win.
Yes, it was getting close at the very end. Stefan Overgaard had put the pressure on Clifford Eben, but more importantly, Randy, when he had the chance to make the move in traffic, he just couldn't do so.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things about these multi-class forms of racing is that, you know, sometimes the opportunity sort of presents itself, but will immediately go away due to traffic. So it's unfortunate, but sometimes that's just a creature of multi-class racing.
There's a look then at the results up on your screen. First of all, Ford Mustang, Clifford Eben winning by a 10th of a second over Stefan Overgaard. And then you got Hugo Arujo in 3rd place, Raymond Bader Jr. in 4th, and Mike Stutzman in 5th place. Rest of that Ford Mustang results up on your screens. We head ourselves back over to the 2nd class. That is the Volkswagen Jetta class, and it's Gresham Wagner who wins by 3.4 seconds over Simon Trendale. Christian Novak in 3rd place, Adam Hedgecock in 4th, and Robert Lundgren rounding out your top 5. And then in your Pontiac Solstice field here today, we've got yourself Gorg Maszinski leading the way and getting victory by 15 seconds, apparently, over Albert Moreno. Yes, it was indeed. And then a battle going on. 3rd place was Christoph Boyes. 4th place, Kelly McLaren. 5th place, it was Brian Molitor. Molitor then, as far as I understand that one, Connery, he got himself foul of the incident point limit.
It does seem to be the case here, and well, it's something that we have seen in this series. That is for certain. A bit of bumper barging here and there, door rubbing, all's good, but not always all good when it comes to getting yourself towards that instant limit right at the end of the race. So there we go. He'll just fall himself all the way down that field, and you know, it's always tough to see a driver fall foul the instant limit, but the thing is that it's so easy to try and mitigate that sort of thing.
I was about to say it's a quiet weekend here at RaceSpot TV. It's not. We've got great action coming up this weekend. 6 hours of Virginia International Raceway tomorrow from 2 p.m. GMT. That's a part of the Sports Car Open GT Series. Then on Sunday, we got ourselves Sim Racing Grand Prix round number 7 from somewhere. And then we've got ourselves round number 5 of the Audi Sports R8 LMS E-Cup. That's back here at Brands Hatch. And we round out our triple header with the 2K World Cup presented by DES Simulations. That will be at Watkins Glen International before we wrap things up with the Monday Night Skippies in support of the Calm Zone. That'll be Monday, also at 8 p.m. GMT. So it's a quiet weekend for me, Randy. Not for you.
Yep, we got the finale for SCO and then the other event that we have. So it's going to be a busy weekend for sure, and that carries over right into Monday. It's always fun having the busy weekends because of course that carries for me directly into a busy Monday with a World Championship, and then a Tuesday World Championship, and then a Thursday Ignite Series, which is basically a World Championship.
Well, and also seeing we've got you here, this coming Tuesday, we've got ourselves the return of the eNASCAR Peak Entry Series powered by iRacing at Bristol. And if there's any NASCAR race that I like to watch, yes, Talladega and Daytona are the two that I love to watch. Homestead is my favourite track to watch because it's always fun. Then it's Bristol.
Yeah, Bristol's going to put on one. I mean, it's going to be probably one of the races this year. The race that we just had was maybe the race that was really good. But don't count out that World of Outlaws late model championship either, because we're going in the last 2 rounds of that. We have 3 drivers fighting for $10,000 prize pool, and the top 3 are separated by 6 points. The points leader has yet to win a race. The other 2 run second and third, or currently second and third in the points, have won races. One of them has won 2, so it's probably, I think, the most exciting world championship we're going to see all year is the finale of these Morton Buildings late models in the next coming week.
And if I'm correct, we also saw Bristol the other day in terms of the Ignite series.
Just not on Facebook.
Yeah, just not. Just not on Facebook. But again,
we're going to get in trouble.
We saw some great racing there at Bristol, and the one thing about Bristol, between day and night, they are 2 completely different racetracks because of the fact it's a short oval, it's concrete compared to asphalt.
It's fast.
So everything changes from day to night. So you watch the April race, and it's one thing. You go to the night race in August, and this is one of the reasons why it's the top 20 races you have to go and see in your life.
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic show. The way and the fact that it's a track that really the racers in general don't race a lot. It's not been on the Peak Series in like 6 or 7 years. I'm not Tim Terry, so I don't have that stat to just pull out of thin air. But the cars are heavy. The way the tires come in is going to be interesting to watch. Of course, the fact it's the only track that we're going to visit that has multiple pit roads. You have a front straightaway pit road and a back straightaway pit road. That's going to be a very unique aspect that I've not broadcasted ever. I've done races at Bristol, but they've always been short, sub 100 laps, and you basically never go down pit road under any circumstance. So it's going to be a fun race to watch, and it's the playoff cutoff race. The very last round of the regular season is at Bristol before we go into playoffs. So that's going to dictate the top 8. We'll go into the last 4 races fighting for at $110,000 prize pool.
I've got one word to say about that race, Connery. Chaos.
Yeah, absolutely. And, sometimes chaos is fun, I suppose. That would be my villain sort of, I guess, catchphrase. Chaos is fun. There we go.
Yeah. And when you know that you got 2 British commentators that know just how important a Bristol night race is, if you're European, check it out. It is going to be one of the most entertaining eNASCAR Peak Entry Series races you have ever seen. It'll be live here on the iRacing Esports Network, on YouTube Gaming, on Twitch TV, and on Facebook Live. It'll be on the 21st of August, GMT at 1 a.m. That'll be the 20th of August, 9 p.m. Eastern starting time for that. We have, however, got Clifford Eben, your race victor, overall here today. He stood by with Connery Medic.
Yeah, Clifford, well, you finally managed to get yourself one over Stefan Overgard. How's it feel?
Oh, wow, what a race. That was crazy. I knew with Brandon's speed at the beginning, I had to be very aggressive to try to get past him, and I stuck my nose in there, and he ran wide and got a slowdown penalty. Stefan didn't get a good qualifying time, so he was behind me, and I just tried to run from him and weave through the traffic and just try to build a gap. Came down to a very close finish, though. Just barely got it.
How did you feel about well, I won't say a punt. It was more of an absolute smash. Both still managed to hold it together. What was going through your head when that happened?
See, the thing is, it seemed pretty hard to me, but it came up as a 0x. So, I know he's a very polite and clean racer. He didn't mean to do that. He let me get back going. But that created the main gap between us that kind of gave me a cushion throughout the whole race. But yeah, I was fine with it.
Do you think if the race went 1 lap longer, do you think you could have held on?
Oh, probably not. He was so much faster. I definitely did not expect to win this race. Just he had some trouble with lap traffic, and Brandon obviously with the slowdown penalty. I just tried to hang on. I don't think I could have held him off another lap. As you saw, it was amazingly close.
Yeah, very, very close indeed. And, well, before we wrap things up here, Clifford, is there anyone you want to thank?
I would like to thank my team, Asbury Motorsports, for all the help that they give me to become a better driver on this service. You guys for putting on this broadcast. It's definitely created some popularity for the series, and I'm excited to be back next week at VIR. And also just Stefan and Brandon and all the other Mustangs who made it very fun, and all the lap traffic as well for being nice.
All right, thank you very much. And, well, we're looking forward to seeing you next week. And as you say, at VIR, Will. So, and I believe it's the circuit with the swear word of a corner.
Yes, we can finally say the word bitch when we
Isn't
go
a swear word.
Well, although, to be fair, I think the words if you're using VAR would be harsher than if you're racing at VAR. VAR even is, of course, this whole newfangled thing. It's basically instant replay, shall we say, for soccer for our American friends. Of course, we've had it in the NFL, etc. for years. Randy, I do need to publicly apologise to you, by the way.
For what?
6 broadcasts in a week because we're all the way in Germany?
Yeah, you do. Don't worry, I'm charging you triple that entire week, so it's fine.
The thing is, think of all that broadcast money that we don't have.
Yeah, true. Well, we're sat in a house and...
think of that German vacation I don't have.
Yeah, but whoa. Don't forget, Connor's going to have to share a room with Hugo.
That's fine. Hugo's like the most polite person ever. You know this.
Just don't give him hot wings.
I'd rather... Okay, let's be real. Who would you rather room with, Paul or Hugo?
And on that, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to say thank you so much for watching our coverage here on RaceSpot TV and on the iRacing Esports Network. From Friday Night Prime Time here on the iRacing Grand Touring Cup from Brands Hatch Circuit. As ever, thank you to our partners. It's from Ballad, TrackCam22.com, to ATVO, the guys do amazing work for us, and also to And One Designs for the beautiful graphics that you see every single broadcast. We are back on air tomorrow, and it will be for the Sports Car Open GT Series 6 hours of Oak Tree. We're going over to Virginia International Raceway, and then the next time we're back here for Friday Night Prime Time as a part of the iRacing Grand Touring Cup, we will also be at Virginia International Raceway. From the shortest track of the series to the longest, we go to the Grand West layout. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we can legitimately say the word bitch on a RaceSpot TV broadcast. From myself, Will Vincent, Connie Maddock, special comments by Rennie Cheneth. Goodbye and good night from Brands Hatch Circuit.